All right, guys, welcome back to Middle Class Reactions. Today we're going to take a look at another update for the war in Iran going on. There's been a lot of updates. Ayatollah's dead. U.S. Military personnel have been killed. We got into an engagement in Pakistan at the U.S. Embassy. There's been a lot going on. So this is a 4-minute video from the channel S2 Underground we're going to take a look at. It's his channel. I always recommend checking it out. I'm going to try to remember to link it down below. It's the most detailed updates for like where things are happening that I've ever found. So we're going to take a look at his video, but all the credit to him. Again, the channel's S2 Underground, as you can see right here.
This is the Wire for 1500 Zulu, March 1st, 2026. Precedence is priority. Information cutoff is 1400. Bottom line up front. War continues in Middle East. U.S. consulate under attack in Karachi. 9 rioters killed as U.S. Marines defend the compound. Ayatollah confirmed dead following airstrike. Missile and drone strikes continue around the region. Beginning with international events, in the Middle East, yesterday afternoon, President Trump confirmed the death of Ayatollah Khomeini, who was killed in an airstrike in Tehran. Most of his senior advisors were also killed on the same engagement. On the maritime front, this morning, one commercial tanker vessel was struck by an Iranian drone, with the crew of the merchant tanker Skylight abandoning ship after their vessel was hit in the Strait of Hormuz. A few hours ago, a second tanker was reportedly struck in the strait, with the merchant tanker MKD Viam being struck, also attempting to transit the waterway this morning. Analysts comment. Of note, the Skylight does not appear to have been attempting to transit the strait and has likely been anchored in the same place for a few years. This vessel was actually serving the Iranian oil industry and was on the U.S. sanctions list, so the Iranians appear to have targeted one of their own ships, possibly so that the Americans couldn't make use of it. Significant strikes have been reported at the Jebel Ali petroleum terminals in Dubai, and satellite imagery of Ali Al Salam Air Base in Kuwait has confirmed that the base fuel point was hit, with the fuel bladders and blivets at this location burning overnight. All total, drone and missile attacks have remained constant throughout the day and night, with the various interior and defense ministries of the following nations providing data on how many interceptions have been conducted overnight. Qatar reports 65 ballistic missiles and 12 drones intercepted. Bahrain reports 45 missiles and 9 drones intercepted. Jordan reports detecting 49 missiles and drones combined, 13 of which were intercepted. Israel reports over 200 missiles and drones intercepted. The UAE reports 137 missiles and 209 drones detected, 195 of which were intercepted successfully. Kuwait and Saudi Arabia have acknowledged strikes targeting their countries, however neither have confirmed how many drones or missiles have been intercepted. Analysts comment. Note that these figures only encapsulate the munitions that were successfully intercepted and shot down. Most countries don't want to publish the data of how many drones actually made it through their defenses, so the figure for how many strikes have been conducted so far is hard to discern. This time around, all belligerents are exercising good operational security, so details of strikes are often hard to find via social media. This is most sharply demonstrated in Israel, where hundreds of strikes are occurring, but difficult to pinpoint on a map due to the exact location of strikes rarely being reported. In Pakistan, overnight, riots broke out at the U.S. Consulate General in Karachi, which rapidly transitioned into an attempt to breach the American compound. After some time, rioters breached the outer security cordon, and U.S. Marines, which had taken up defensive positions inside the facility, opened fire on the intruders before they could breach the secondary line of security around the perimeter. Analysts comment. Details are extremely hard to verify, however local sources claim that a total of 9 Pakistani rioters were killed during the engagement so far, and the Marines have successfully held the key terrain around the consulate for the past few hours. However, tensions are rising, and if the videos of the riots are any indication, Pakistan is not up to the task of defending the American compound, as rioters were allowed to breach, destroy, and set the outer cordon of the American diplomatic post on fire, with no Pakistani security anywhere to be seen. Analyst comments for this wire. Around the United States, various efforts are underway to enhance the security posture of various locations and entities. In Texas, Governor Greg Abbott has activated service members to take part in Operation Fury Shield, a defensive operation to strengthen security at critical infrastructure sites around the state, in the event that retaliatory efforts via lone wolf actors attempt to conduct attacks within the homeland. Similarly, the NYPD in New York is increasing patrols throughout the city, and several military bases around the United States remain at an elevated security posture. Right now, these efforts are probably being conducted out of an abundance of caution. However, it does confirm that at least someone is thinking about the potential for events overseas to impact the homeland in the form of terrorism. This has, of course, been a concern for decades. However, based on the widening war in the Middle East, it would be wise to remain vigilant and situationally aware for the next few weeks as the conflict continues to inflame tensions here at home. This concludes the wire for 1500 Zulu, March 1st, 2000.
All right, guys. So that's a overall rundown, just from a big aerial view. Okay, now so some specifics here. The Ayatollah was killed. Looks like in the initial missile strike on. Let's see, go here on the initial missile strike in Iran. Let me see. See if I can find the pictures of his house. According to Israel, take that with a grain of salt, but this is the actual strike on the house. So, yeah, you're gonna see a bunch from stuff from like Fox News like this, from around the world. You're also gonna see stuff from like this, mourning the supreme leader. There's probably a mix of both. I imagine, I mean, he was a terrible leader. I imagine a bunch of them are super happy that he's dead, and I imagine a bunch of them are not happy that he's dead. You know, I bet it goes both ways. So the reality is that I think they've already named his son as the successor, and what's this? Oh, yeah. Supposedly the entire Ayatollah's family was killed. This is one of the pictures circulating. Although she looks very white to be his granddaughter, but you know, who am I to say? So I think they've already named his son the successor for Iran, and let's be real, he's probably going to be worse because now he's pissed off that the U.S. has killed his dad. Which generally would happen to these things is we'll regime change one person, bring him down, and then someone worse comes up, or you get the worst of both worlds, which is someone worse comes up and he can't control the region, and so it becomes a power vacuum of sorts. Think Libya, Syria, stuff like that. Iraq, you know, a bunch of those places it all happened to. So we're gonna see that we're not gonna know the true outcome of this for 3 to 4 years until things really settle in. Depending, of course, what Israel and the U.S. I mean, if we put boots on the ground there and just say, "Hey, we're going to take it," then you know that could mean a whole different thing. But I don't think we're going to do that. We're going to see. U.S. military members killed in CENTCOM, per CENTCOM. All right, so that's I would be willing to bet just propaganda, but I could be wrong. Their CENTCOM did officially confirm that 3 were killed. I haven't seen any. Okay, I haven't seen anything of how they died, where they died, if they were in Iran, if they were in the air, if it was on one of the airstrikes. That if it was in one of the airstrikes that hit a U.S. base, I don't know. I would imagine it's due to an airstrike that hit a base. But we shall see. I'm kind of waiting on updates for that because there hasn't been any specifics, just that there were 3 people killed. So I don't know. There's a lot happening. There's a lot happening really fast, and we don't know what's going to be the result of this. Again, a lot of it we're not going to know for a long time. You know, a year or 2 at minimum. We're going to see if we put any soldiers on the ground. I would kind of be shocked if we did, if we don't already have. I would be willing to bet anything we already have like, some sort of special operations on the ground there. But again, who knows? Unconfirmed. Big thing to remember is this is probably only going to get worse, and everyone should be really, really cautious of retaliatory attacks in the U.S. from lone wolf attackers. So you're talking shootings like we saw in Austin, suicide bombers, stuff like that. That's going to be the big thing to be on the lookout for. So everyone be safe. Keep an eye out for this. No one knows what's really going to happen. You know, this stuff is, I mean, 9/11 was a result of our actions in the Middle East. And people forget about that. They want to, a lot of people will tell you that, like, oh, they hate us for our freedom. They'll, classic George Bush line of thinking. But in reality, that was a retaliatory attack for our actions in the Middle East. This could result in something like that. There is no telling. And the 9/11 was a retaliation for stuff going on in the 90s in the Middle East. So who knows? Keep everyone in your prayers, keep things close. Yeah, it makes me nervous where this is going to go, guys. But again, be safe. Like, share, subscribe, do all the stuff, and you need to. Please, 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 give these videos a like and a subscribe. It really, really helps me out. So I'll catch you on the next one. Bye.